Hello again, and welcome back to Survival Saturday with Johnny Tiger on May 6th, 2023. Because we already did one video today, so I'm going to cheap out and rather than jumping around doing another set of martial art moves, for Survival Saturday, we're going to look at another little knife review, and this one is an oldie. This one has been with me for at least 14 years. I think I got this around 2008, maybe 2007, around that time. This is the Smith and Wesson Extreme OPS Extreme Ops Tanto blade. Quite a mouthful to say. Smith and Wesson Extreme Ops Tanto blade. A nice little folding knife that we are going to take a look at today. Smith& Wesson has some interesting stuff. In addition to having a pretty uh, good reputation as a gun brand, of course, the Smith& Wesson also is brand for a lot of knives, pocket knives, fixed blade, and uh, I have some good and bad experience with Smith& and Wesson product, and this one is no exception. Now, at the outset, this is a nice, slim, little folding knife. It's a liner lock. I can't even speak that well today. Excuse me. I think I need more coffee or something. It is a liner lock Tanto style blade that is ambidextrous, means you can open it pretty easily with either hand. Unlike a lot of the other knives that I've handled and reviewed, this one has a very unassuming look to it. Like it just doesn't really feel like much or look like much really, but it has a kind of simplicity to it that make it quite endearing. It does have a pocket clip, uh, and it sits very comfortable in the pocket because of its small profile, and the pocket clip is quite secure. I remember when I bought it way back when, this was not even all that expensive. I think this was like a $25, maybe $28 knife. So definitely in that low to mid range. I would say more towards the low range in pocket knife. But for that, you are getting quite a good knife for your money. The pocket clip is not reversible, sadly. So you just have to carry it the way it is. Like there's you can't change the pocket clip to different positions. It's what you see is what you get. This particular version has a camouflage desert camo pattern blade hilt, and the hilt is aluminum and it's very well textured. It has this rough texture on both sides of the scale, so it does feel very good in hand. And since it is a slimmer pocket knife overall, this is a knife that is good for even people with a smaller hand. It feels very comfortable when you have a smaller hand when you handle this knife. That little ring on the end of the hilt that did not come with the knife. I just put that on there for ease of use and hang it off and attach it to other stuff. But where the ring is, there's a lanyard hole at the end of the hilt for you to attach lanyards or other doodash you want to onto the hilt. And as you guys can see, this hilt has a four-hole drilled design. So there's a series of holes from front to back. Now, some people ask me, is that for your fingers to go in? No, your fingers do not fit in those holes. Those holes they don't really serve much of any kind of purpose other than being there, and they do allow you to, in a survival situation, you can easily strap this to a spear, to a stick, and to make a spear because of these holes on the hilt. But as you can see, the fingers do not fit in there, and they are no, they're not really for you to grip onto because when you're holding the knife, uh, unless you have a specific size hand, it's going to be very awkward for you to get your finger on where these holes are. So these are really just there. I guess you can use them to anchor your thumb or for you to lash this to a stick. The blade is 440C stainless steel and coated with black titanium powder. And it is a combo edge, meaning half of it is serrated and half of it is plain edge, and it ends in a Tanto style point. Like I said, this is a liner lock knife, uh, and there is a little piece of metal right here at the bottom of the tang where the joint is, and you push this to the side with your thumb, and then you use the other finger to push the blade down, and you close the knife. The blade has a thumb stud on either side, both this side, left side, and right side. So you can open this both hand. Either hand would work really good. On the top of the blade, the back of the spine of the blade, there's a bit of jimping or serration right here, so you can rest your thumb there to give it that extra stability and force when you're cutting with this knife. The entire knife is just over 7 inches long. The hilt, when it's folded up, the entire length of the hilt is 4 inches, and the blade itself is about 3 inches. So it look and sound like a good sized knife, but when you actually have this in hand, you're kind of, at least I was amazed at how slim and how small this knife feels like. I am going to give it a comparison to one of my other smaller knife, the one that we have already seen, the CRKT wrinkle, and you guys can see that even the wrinkle is bigger than this knife. Here we have the CRKT wrinkle sitting beside the Smith and Wesson Extreme Ops Tanto, and you can see that even though the wrinkle is already a small knife, it is wider in profile than the Tanto. Now, since I have the wrinkle here for comparison, I'm going to use this opportunity to show you guys one of the biggest flaw for the Smith and Wesson Extreme Ops Tanto. Uh, as I demonstrated before, on the wrinkle, CRKT wrinkle, when you fold the knife, you push the liner lock to the side and you start folding the knife. If your finger is still in the way, it's okay because there's a guard here that will catch on your thumb and you won't cut yourself. So you'll have time to take your finger out of the way. Now, on the Tonto, on the Smith and Wesson Extreme Ops, there's no guard here. Okay, so when you push this to the side and start folding the knife, take your thumb out of there. Otherwise, this will cut the hell out of your thumb. This is sharp all the way to the joint, to the tang of the knife. This is very sharp, and that's where the serration is. So if your thumb is in there, you are going to bleed. That happened to me like 2 times before I learned how to handle this knife properly. So remember there's no guard, so when you close the knife, move your thumb. Speaking of a lack of guard, that is generally true for this knife. I mean, there is a bit of a contour for your hand here on the hilt, but see how easy my finger would move on to the blade. Okay, so this is problematic because as a Tanto, it has good piercing power, but when you pierce, this has a big chance of sliding down through your hand and cut yourself wide open. So uh, I think that is definitely a design flaw. On top of that, the liner lock on, I don't know if this is just on mine, but the liner lock on this thing can be extremely tough to move, especially sometimes after you've been using the knife for a while. This can really get stuck. So sometimes it takes a bit of strength to open that, to move the liner lock to the side so you can close the knife. My recommendation is don't try to be cute when you are handling the Smith and Wesson Extreme Ops. When you handle this knife, just try to close it nice and easy and with both hands and be careful. Otherwise, this is a very accident-prone little knife, and it is sharp as hell. So, uh, one slip and you're going to be looking for the band-aid. The advantage of this knife is that it is slim and small enough that you can easily fit it into your billfold, your wallet, like this. I have it sitting inside the wallet like that, and it doesn't make the wallet too fat or anything. And when you need it, take it out very easily and open it. Right? And of course, it sits inside your pocket, the collar of your shirt, your belt, your boots. It can fit into all kind of nooks and crannies. It's a nice little concealed knife. Not that I'm promoting concealed weapon carry, but I'm just saying that's one of the benefit of this knife. Now let us do a little bit of a cutting test, before I give you my final thought on this knife. Oh, look like we have a special guest in front of the camera. So let's put the cutting test off a few minutes, so we don't end up with an accident with someone calling animal cruel, suing me for animal cruelty and calling animal control on me. I want to take this chance to quickly say that I know the camera work for these knife review is really wonky. This is unfortunate. Being blind guy with a camera, how can I say? Um, if I had someone professional here to actually do it, and all I have to do is talk and show the knife, it would be a lot easier. But uh, yeah, just have to bear with me. Um, so anyway, here we go with the little cutting test. I don't think you can see me, my face anywhere, but maybe. No. As you can see, this knife sit inside the pocket like that, very well. A little bit, about an inch of the top will poke out like this, so give you a good place to grip with your thumb and you pull it out. Unfortunately, this is not designed for any kind of quick draw, so there's no Emerson wave feature on it that will allow you to snap it open when you pull it out. So yeah, you have to skip being fancy. You just have to pull it out and open it up with your thumb like a normal person. And because it's a Tanto, we're going to put it through a lot more today than I did with some of the other knife, because the whole reputation for Tanto is that it has good piercing power. So rather than, or in addition to cardboard, we have this hard ass plastic jar lid from a jar of cashew or peanuts or something. And those are, you know, this is hard stuff, right? Now, just assume that you try to open this and it's not opening. With a Tanto blade, this can pierce right in. Okay? Now, I want to take this chance to talk a little bit about safety. Because it's a folding knife, right? Tanto is all badass and cool and all that. But it's because it's a folding knife. So when you're applying force, don't hold onto the knife like this, like with your hand wrapped around it. Do that, right? If this suddenly fail, the lock suddenly fail, you will lose your finger. Okay, so what you want to do with a folding Tanto is you put the point in and then you take your other hand, make sure the blade is anchored in place, and then you let go of the hilt and hammer with your palm and the butt end of the knife. So this way, if the knife suddenly fold, it's not going to cut me, right? Okay, the other hand, with the hand that's anchoring the blade, pinch near the spine. So if this suddenly break or fail and lock, like the lock fail and it folds up, okay, it's not going to cut me, right? That's just a little bit of safety precaution. Okay? Look at that. A big chunk of the lid just sliced. Now we cut a few angle and then you hammer that and this fall out. Now you can access your peanut or cashew or whatever. Okay? And look at the knife. No damage to it. This is good. This is a good solid knife. Now let me adjust the camera angle and we do have a cardboard box that we want to dismantle. Now normally I just cut a folded up cardboard box, but one thing I always say when it comes to karambit and tanto, is these knives are great fighting knives, but lousy at utility. So today we're actually going to do some utility with this and see if this tanto can break uh, the trend and prove me wrong. Like I said, this has a combo edge, so it's a serration and then fine edge, half and half. And we're going to use this knife to dismantle this cardboard box so I can throw it away in the trash. Now, we're going to slice the tape at the top. That part's easy. I'm going to turn it around so you guys can see my hand at work. This is obviously a little bit more awkward, and I don't normally cut like this, right? Normally I'm going to be facing the whatever I'm cutting, and but I'm doing this so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Uh, so from here, we're going to let this bite into the box. And we're gonna see if we can. It it looked like it's hard work, and it kind of is. But part of the reason, I'm sure you guys can tell, because I'm doing it left-handed. I'm not a good left-hand cutter, but I'm doing this left-handed so you guys can see what's going on. Right now, how about if I turn around, I stand this way. Now I can use my right hand for this task. You know, that's one piece. Bye bye. See you later. I'm going to uh, copy Kyle Peterson, one of my favorite action figure reviewer. Whenever he's unboxing action figure. He just throw things and then see you later, goodbye. Very entertaining. Goodbye, see you later. Of course, later I'll probably embarrass myself by stepping on the stack of cardboard on the floor and slip. Oh well, anything for the camera. See what I have to go through for you guys? See you later, goodbye. There we have it. I mean, it's not totally done, but you guys can see this knife actually performs pretty admirably once I start using my right hand. It does tend to get bind up in the cardboard sometime because of the serration, but if you use a nice rocking cutting motion, it's actually really, really surprisingly easy. So in the end, what do I think of this knife? Is it a good utility knife? Is it a good survival knife? Is it a good fighting knife? Well, let's address the fighting knife part because once upon a time I heard someone tell me that he said I don't like to carry serrated knife for fighting knife because the serration may get bound up in the person's clothes or jacket or zipper after you stab them, and you won't be able to pull your knife out, and they might kill you before you can extract your knife. Honestly, I am kind of thinking if you walk around, like if you're a normal guy, okay, like if you're in the military, then I can see that is a definite legit concern. But if you are a normal guy and you walk around with that in your head, you might want to go see a psychiatrist or something. Like uh, it's not normal to walk around every day thinking you don't want to stab someone with a serrated knife because the serration can get caught up in the clothes and you have to pull your knife out, otherwise they're going to stab you. Uh, yeah, too much movie, too much TV, too much cartoon. Anyway, uh, now, is it a legit concern? Yeah, okay. No, if you have the habit of getting in a knife fight with somebody, uh, then I say, yeah, maybe it is a legit concern because the serration will get bound up in the clothes if it's not handled properly. Um, but but I'm going to offer you a different point of view with serration knife for self-defense and fighting knife. When you use your knife to defend yourself, no matter whether in a knife fight or any kind of self-defense situation, if you use a sharp scalpel-like blade to cut someone on the hand or arm, most of the time they won't feel it. Okay, they won't feel it until later. This is because when adrenaline's going and your knife is really sharp, the brain doesn't register that pain until later. Okay, that is not true for serrated knife. With a serrated knife, if I need to deter somebody, and somebody trying to grab me, and I just run this serration across the back of their hand. Ow, that actually hurt, right? I just did that to myself, not even hard enough to make myself bleed, but that hurt, right? That will instantly register. I don't care how pissed off they are or how fueled up on adrenaline. You scratch them with that serrated part, they'll feel it. Okay, so I think while yeah, it's legit. If you stab someone, you might have to worry about extracting your knife, but the serration makes a great pain compliance tool, a great way to stop someone without actually having to cut them, or kill them rather, or stab them. Okay, most of the time I teach people when you're in a fight, if you have to use knife, don't slash. You have to stab for actual effect. With a serrated knife, you can slash no problem. They'll feel that. They'll definitely feel that. So the chance of fatality, or killing someone by accident will be a bit lower. Okay, so on that, I will say this is uh, okay for fighting. However, uh, the design of this knife, with it not having a quick opening function, you can't really flick it to open it. Like I'm very good at flicking open knife, but this thing, it doesn't flick open very good. So you have to use some stud and open it the good old-fashioned way, right? So it's not a quick, quickly drawn, quickly open knife. So you do have to take that into consideration. It won't be deployed very smoothly or quickly. So that will be something that you want to keep in mind, uh, and that will mean that this is probably not an ideal choice for self-defense. Is it good for survival? Well, I like Tanto Blade for survival, and this one, as we can see during the cutting test, it performed admirably, even though it is a small knife, and but the serration allows it to cut through even tough material like cardboard relatively easily. It can puncture heavy duty hard plastic lid very easily. Um, it has both the serrated part of the blade and the plain edge, and the great tanto piercing potential. And it has a hose in the hilt to so you can tie it to a stick and turn it into a spear. So all this together, and how light it is, I say this is actually a great survival knife. Actually, let me correct myself. This is a great secondary survival knife, right? You don't. I wouldn't recommend you going to try to survive in the wilderness carrying just this. But because it's so small and light, I say carry a big proper survival knife, but carry this as a nice little backup because it's really nice as a survival knife, but it's not going to beat a machete or a proper survival camp knife or anything like that. So a survival knife, I'd say yeah, it's adequate if you have to rely on it. Is it a good utility knife? And I am surprising myself by saying yes. I've carried this thing for over 10 years, over 10 years, and it performs a lot better than what I typically see with other Tanto blades. Um, Most other Tanto blade, either the cutting surface is too short and it's just feel wonky in the hand. It require a lot of force to cut stuff. But this thing, this little extreme ops knife, it's actually very nice. I will say, surprisingly enough, I say it's a better utility knife than a fighting knife, which is a really weird thing to say about any kind of tanto. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little knife review, and Remember, when you are handling sharp object, always be responsible. Be careful of yourself and all those around you.